Alright, let's get this show on the road. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Let's drop this in announcements. Get everything else ready. Hello, comrades. And welcome to another episode of Under Construction. I'm your host, Ellis, otherwise known as the Admiral. This week, it's more of the same. Hold on. Excuse me just a second. Alright, we're in. We've got to wait for everyone else to get in though. So, give me a second while I play some Not Tetris. That was dumb. I guess I'm just playing really aggressive today. Alright, let's put this here. Let's put this here. I kind of do wish it was a train-related game that I played. If there's an equivalent, I mean, I've talked about playing Rails of War, that old Flash game. I honestly don't know what that would be like for this. I sound off if I should try it, I guess. But it would be a thing. I'm not even sure if I'm going to assume that I would be able to capture it. Oops. Rats. Uh-oh. That's not really what I wanted to do. There we go. You know what we haven't made in Tolbrand, I'm realizing? We haven't made a golf course. We need to make a golf course somewhere. Bellington strikes me as the kind of place that might have one. It's wealthy enough to do it. Although, if I were to rebuild Olive, I also think one would maybe belong there. Oh, sugar. Alright, let's do that. And then that's not going to fit over there, so we're kind of hosed. Well, that's okay, though. How do you manage to make your map look so good also high, Ellis? It depends how you mean make look good. Because, honestly, I don't think, as far as scenery goes, Tolbrand is not a top 10 contender. You know, it's not a title contender. The scenery I do is pretty good, but it's also pretty basic. It's not very detailed. The way I make it look so good is really just finding a handful of assets that work well together and spreading those all around. You know, the forest is diverse enough that it's not necessarily noticeable that it's just a handful of the same kind of tree. It also, you know, helps that the trees do scale. Oh shoot! Oh, I had a good chance there. I tried to make a small scenic 3x3 baseboard and it looked horrible. Well, if you can identify why you think it looked horrible, that's a good first step to doing anything at all. If it was the textures, maybe you need different textures. You need to spin them if you weren't doing that. If it's the placement of the buildings, maybe it's worth studying you know, real neighborhoods and places like that, and finding, you know, looking at the density, because I've noticed that things can get a little bit off-putting when you spread the buildings out too much. Also with that, it's worth it to have quite a bit of variety if you're doing something that isn't a place that's going to have relatively little variety, like, you know, Soviet aesthetic or row houses or something. I know now I need inspiration. Thank you, Ellis. I'm not sure what that's a response to, but you're welcome, I guess. That feels sarcastic. No, but it's down to a lot of things, and I think one of the biggest sins, one of the biggest things that sort of tips a person off to, hey, this isn't right, is there's a lot of empty space. And certain oh god, certain eras and locales are going to have a lot of empty space, and let me send this over there. Uh, but most things are not. So let's look at if we take an example. Um, this is not a good example. Let's look in this area here. And this isn't even that great either because we don't have the trees yet, and um, the trees are a big part of it. But it is, for the most part, in a place like this, every square foot is going to be used by something, whether that's a park with stuff in it, or a business, or a couple of houses like these two, or what have you, parking lots, something. There's very seldom, especially in like a city scene, going to be a big expanse of grass if there isn't a really good reason for there to be a big expanse of grass. Also, this week's soda is Yacht Club's Orange Cream Soda. I already opened the lid because Gloria's not here. Um, like this as well. There's a lot of what you might consider empty space, although if you're in Houston, it should feel just right. Um, but it's parking lots. It's functional space. As functional as you can be with a parking lot. The busier an area gets, the higher value the land in that area gets, the more likely that any given plot is going to be filled in with something. Virgo says, I promised an N-scale allowed for Anthrocon next year. Good luck. That's really neat. That's, it's always interesting when fandoms collide, right? I'm not sure if you can call either of those things a fandom, but just roll with it for a second. But it is, it's cool to see. I mean, it's cool that you're bridging that gap like that. Frankly, it is cool that you specifically are doing this. But in addition, it is cool to sort of see like oh yeah, you're going to Anthrocon and you're going to bring a model railroad with you, and it's going to be neat. But the model rail furs meet. Ah, okay. Well, that makes more sense. Because I was thinking like, oh, you're about to like indoctrinate a whole group of people. Um, you like trains. You just, you have the trains inside your fursuit. Like, here, look. Uh, we've got Hiawatha and we've got 20th Century Limited. Take your pick. Um, you know, uh, just going up to people in the aisles at the convention. You'd probably do the opposite of the Big E. Also, would maybe be less of a hit, but would still be quite entertaining. Um, aren't fursuits insanely hot? I bet. I bet. I mean, it's like I only think of mascot costumes, and I'm sorry if that's demeaning to the furry community. I don't mean it to be demeaning, but it is the closest equivalence that I am personally familiar with. Not that I've worn a mascot suit myself, but I am much more familiar with that than fursuits. Okay, we need. What are those two tracks? Oh, I'm busted. It's a really good question. What are these two tracks? They are an industry that I haven't decided what it is yet, because in a fit of passion last time, I talked myself into uh, into adding a really awkward industry here. I would hope that your fursuits are higher quality than a mascot costume. I really would. I kind of assumed as much, but I would hope at the least. Um, and fans, active airflow is smart. That's smart. Um, so yeah. Um, yeah. Well, maybe accept the good ones, right? Uh, I want to see the fanciest mascot suit. Well, also the other thing is, I mean, I don't know about you, but it strikes me that a mascot suit is something that somebody doesn't like put on for fun, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you're comfortable. You drew the short straw. Now you're gonna dress up as a teddy bear, or whatever. You're gonna dress up as whatever the hell the Philly fanatic is, uh, and you know, deal with it. Um, but a fursuit is like, hey, this is like me, me putting on my other skin in some ways. I would imagine it's like this is something that I want to be comfortable in on multiple levels, right? Uh, and as a consequence, it pays the dividends to put in the equipment, the tweaks, the what have you, to make sure that you don't like put it on and immediately regret it. um, and yes, what is the weirdest thing you've made in Trainz there, Sherry Dunbar? Welcome to the stream. All right, let's see. Do I put the dirt out front? I was gonna do asphalt, but I'm not sure now. I think I might do asphalt on this side of the building here, or maybe I will keep it up with the gravel. It's a very unusual corner. Um, have I thought about switching to Surveyor 2.0 Surveyor and all the other things that come with it? I use Surveyor 2.0 for quite a few things already. There are some things that Surveyor 2 just does better than Surveyor Classic. And when I need to do those things, I switch over to Surveyor 2 and do them. Otherwise, I'm not super invested in learning how to do all the stuff I know how to do in Surveyor Classic in Surveyor 2, because I know that's a learning curve, and more importantly, it's time that I don't feel like spending. Um, you know, as time goes on, I sure eventually I'll pick up some things and I'll go, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe I didn't do this sooner. But um, for now, I think I'm just going to keep things the way that they are. Um, I might use 3 tracks for my modules instead of 2. If you're not conforming to any particular standard, then yeah, I mean, go nuts. Uh, 2 tracks is great. 2 legs good, 4 legs better, right? Um, but yeah, no, 2 tracks is great. More tracks is good. Industry line, so you can do switching and have a train moving in each direction and also be switching. This sounds like a good idea. Um, during our open houses at the Providence Northern Model Railroad Club, everyone's running the different trains on the main line to sort of keep things busy and keep the public entertained. I'm usually down in the branch lines switching out industries because a different sector of the public likes different things. Some people really do enjoy watching sort of the slower paced, methodical switching, as opposed to, oh look, there's a train going by. Oh look, there's another train going by. What's nice about the Providence Northern is that this stuff comes on, this stuff people bring on, and it's all different varieties of trains from all different eras and all different locales. But it's still just sort of trains going by, right? Visit the Union, New Jersey Club. If I'm ever down in New Jersey just to dick around, right, I would love to. There are so many clubs that I need to swing by and visit just to sort of meet people and say hi and check them out. Because there are a few things cooler than a well-done model railroad to me. What you can do with the scenery and detail, and what you can do with the track arrangements, because you see all sorts of different track arrangements. And the nice thing about a model railroad, as opposed to just going looking at a yard on satellite view, is that people had a reason for stuff. Not to say that people didn't have a reason in real life, but it's sometimes those reasons are lost to history, number one. And number two, sometimes it's reasons compounded upon reasons compounded upon reasons. You go and look at a major rail yard, and you might see 100 years or 200 years of iteration on, hey, there's train tracks here. Um, they might sort of, what's the word? It might not all make sense at a glance, and there's not necessarily someone you could ask that can tell you the answer why. Um, on the other hand, you go to a model railroad and you ask, like, oh, why is this like this? And I feel like, you find the right person, they'll be able to tell you everything and anything about a model railroad, about a given model railroad. But you think that most people are going to be able to tell you something. And also, you walk up to the tower at a rail yard, and they're going to be like, get out of here. They're going to call the Pinkertons. Sherry Dunbar, have you invented a double fairly? That's what it sounds like. Okay. Let's do that. Juniata is a particularly large example. But the thing with the model railroad, unlike a regular railroad, is the history is all artificial. Everything there is intentional. And while you might have clubs like the Providence Northern that have gone from place to place, that have started off in one location, built a railroad, and then moved parts of it to the next one, reassembled it, and that affects the track arrangement and things like that. It's less common. Typically, model railroads don't really survive going through multiple locations, just like people don't often survive getting taken to a secondary location. But point is, you might have little bits and pieces. You might have little bits and pieces that have survived, that have made it through, but not everything. Oh, I missed that comment. Sorry, Dragon. What is... Oh, opinion on HD terrain and PBR textures. I think they're really cool. I've had negative experiences with both, so I don't use them. The PBR textures are too rich for my blood. They're too demanding, and they've been causing problems in this route, so I don't use them. As cool as they are. And HD terrain is also fairly demanding, and it broke the Iron Horseman route, or not the Iron Horseman route, the Iron Horseman MPS route. So, personally, I think they're amazing. I think they're a huge leap forward. Or sorry, well, impersonally, right? I think they're amazing. They're a huge leap forward. They are supremely detailed. They help make some outstanding scenery in a way that has never been possible before. But I personally am not interested in using them, at least not right now. In the future, maybe, but probably not on this route, so maybe never. I'll be working on Tolbrun Peninsula until I'm in the ground. But the fact of the matter is, if I were to restart, I might be more interested in exploring those things. I mean, back when we started, I'm not even sure if I was proficient with using the 5-meter grid, and I still don't use that everywhere. It's extra demanding. It's a lot. It's something that, in a lot of cases, I would just rather avoid the performance hit of, because what exists otherwise is adequate. But that's not a reason not to use it for your own projects. And I don't want to discourage people from using it in their own projects. If you make it work, if you're happy with it, more power to you. I think that's amazing. I think that's great. I think it allows a much greater degree of flexibility. Let's find something to put in here. I'm thinking some kind of house. Not warehouse. Regular house. Um, these are interesting ones. Row house, townhouse. Well, what would have been here, right? Because this is a relatively old main road. Yeah, because this came through here. So what would have been on here? Did I fix the CDC towers? No, I haven't touched them yet, but I realized I was doing something a little bit wrong. I think I had opened the route in route and not in session, so there were some things missing. With that in mind, I intend to check on them again, but I do still need to mess with them. Either way. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't respond to the NN3 thing. I think more narrow gauge is great. I think the market is a little bit small for them, no pun intended, but, more commercially available options are fantastic, no matter what they are. Even if it's options, even if it's like copies of something we already have, right? Because everything's going to have its pros and cons. Okay. NN3K37. I can't. I bet that'd be a real pain in the neck. It's cool, but I bet that would be a real pain in the neck. Anything like N scale. What the hell was that? N scale is already kind of small for me. I'm already like worried about breaking HO scale stuff, but I mean, I definitely think. I mean, it's neat. I like N scale for the reasons anyone likes N scale. You can pack a lot in a small amount of space, and you can have absurdly long trains that you don't have to like, have their own carrying trunk for. Hello, Pat and Pat's Chicken Wings. For IHC trains in Trainz 22, what route are they going to be used for? Because I don't know what route they are used for at this point. The IHC train, as in the Iron Horseman Chronicles stuff? Use them on whatever route you want. That's up to you. I have at least 80 freight cars. Wow. You go to the Big E? You should come to the Big E. I mean, I'm gonna be married by next Big E, so I don't know about having a cavalcade of people staying here, as as was previous tradition. But if you're only in New Jersey, you should come to the Big E. I know other New Jerseyans that come to the Big E. Is New Jersey in your demonym, or is it something weird? I'm sure some people out there would be like, the demonym for New Jersey is asshole. But that's not me. The DLC packs that say IHC MPS. Oh no, those are okay. Those are for the multiplayer surveyor route that is dead because it died due to too much HD terrain. To come back to that really quickly. The demonym is miserable. That's not how you spell demonym. It's demonym, N-Y-M. But that's also that's not how demonyms work. Okay. Okay. This house over here, this is going to be like a spooky house, I bet, right? I'm going to have to make it kind of spooky. I'll probably have to put a wall around it or something, or at least a busted fence. Can we get a busted fence? It's actually pronounced hell. Uh, is this Pan Am? I feel like I've lost so much Tolbrin. This is Bellington. I'll go check on Pan Am in a second if you want to see it. But Pan Am has been done for a while, thankfully. We have moved well past. We've moved past the need for Pan Am, and so unfortunately has New England. This is a nice wall, actually. I was going to go with a busted fence, but I'll go with a really nice brick wall instead. This is where Old Man Jenkins lives, and the legend is he eats children. Uh, he's going to show up in a Scooby Doo episode, right? Maybe I'll just have this go all the way down to here. At least it's not Penn Central, yeah. The bar is pretty low. Penn Central was a terrible, terrible railroad. It was ours, damn it, but it was terrible. Let's split up and look for clues. You ever notice how Fred just picked Daphne to stick with? Just saying. Not not implying anything, but, you know? So can I use from the trains from the packs for any route? I guess. I don't really know how those DLC packs work. I don't think you can download them if you don't already have all the stuff that's in them, or if you don't already have access to the stuff that's in them, right? Like, you can't use one of those packs to get a DLC thing that you don't already have. So it's only Trainz freeware. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you can use them wherever you want. I believe it also has some assets. They also might have assets in them too. I'm not sure. It's been a while, and I'm actually not the one who put those together. I wasn't really the ringleader of the MPS route. I was organizing a lot of stuff in the back end, but I wasn't the person who, I wasn't the person who set all that up. It's amazing because literally everyone in Penn Central made the worst possible decisions. I really can't disagree with that take. I can't disagree with that take, starting with creating Penn Central. Okay, I know I'm gonna break my own cardinal rule here, what I just mentioned earlier, but I honestly think that this area might end up just being empty space. Like, they couldn't really figure out what to put here, because I can't figure out what to put here. Yeah, a lot of those things are from the DLS. I think maybe another big warehouse here. I don't even know if this was... No, this is me throwing this building out of the way, because this building was over there. This was me making room. This doesn't go here. She doesn't even go here. And yet, I'm compelled to find a spot for it. A huge parking lot would kind of make sense because we're right down the road from the train station. Excuse me. A warehouse would also make sense. I don't know what most of these things are or would be. Yeah, it's a bad idea made worse by bad events. And that's a take on Penn Central. I don't think that's wrong either. I think... What's the word? I honestly think that Penn Central had no meaningful way of becoming successful in the era and under the conditions that it was in. What is that sound? I'm hearing sounds from behind me and outside. Should you fly into TF Green or Logan? That's totally up to you. Logan is cheaper. TF Green is more convenient if you're gonna be staying, around here. In whatever manner. I suppose I have met you in person, so you're not as much of a stranger as many. I don't know about folks staying here this coming year. We will see. It's kind of further down the road than I'm worrying about right now because I've got other things to plan. But TF Green is a pretty convenient airport. It's a pretty small airport. Flying into it is probably noticeably more expensive. Um, but that's up to you and your budget and your flights out of Oklahoma. So, if you can get inexpensive flights in a TF Green, honestly, I can't really recommend it enough. It's a great airport to fly into and out of. Uh, but Logan, you're going to have more options, and a lot of them are going to be less expensive, and you're almost certainly going to have a direct flight. I don't know about flights from Boston to Oklahoma City or whichever airport you're at in Oklahoma, um, but or whatever airport is closer to you. I just know you're Oklahoma, um, but you get better odds with Boston Logan. Um, so, question: there's invisible tracks for the boats, Mason Valley. Were you planning for Tolbrin to have working ships as well? Yes. I hadn't really decided on what or how to do with that, um, or how or what to do with that, for that matter. Uh, but I knew that I wanted to have something. Um, it's probably not necessary, certainly not much anymore, because I'm going to have basically nothing automated. But, you know, I'm sure that I'm sure that I could find a use for them. The thing is, we don't have the whole coastline. I kind of wanted to be able to run a ship all the way around the edge, but that's not really going to be possible. Something that I might want to do is have it so that you can run barges down the river, out this way through the little strait here, and I would have to add more undersea tiles, but and then into North Staging, which would be kind of fun and silly. Um, and I wanted to have like steamships that went by, which you could do with portals and things. That wouldn't really be too difficult. Okay. Now the only thing I can think of here is, hey, what if I add a switch that goes to some warehouses over here? Um, I really need to cut that out. But I want to, like, this would be where warehouses go, right? This would be where warehouses go of some description. There wouldn't necessarily be industry here, but there would be warehouses. Um, Even something connected to this whole complex here. And in fact, maybe if I were to mark this out as like, yeah, this area belongs to this whole business, and maybe they do have a siding for stuff. They also probably are going to want a parking lot. Everybody needs a parking lot. So I did think that this was going to be like a cold storage warehouse. What is this? That's interesting. That's a little modern, but it's not crazy modern. Excuse me. What are you? What are you? That's an interesting truck bay of some description. I could put this like right here. Oh, I probably want it to be parallel with the road, right? Or at least close to it. See, I kept saying, "Oh, I'm done with adding industries. I don't need more industries." You know, I don't think any of that is necessary. Um, but honestly, I think that some of this is perfectly fine. Now that building that I just slapped down and then picked back up, that seemed a little too old, because this would have been rerouted in, say, the 1920s or so. Well, actually, no. The main line would have been built in the 1800s, late 1800s, I think. But the line over top here, that would have been in the 1920s. So some of the stuff has been here for a decent amount of time. What are you? That's a cool building. What if I were to connect these two? What rotation is that? 338.8. It's going to be 68.8, assuming that the right angles are the same. Um, we're not cutting any windows in half, are we? At least most of the windows that we're cutting in half genuinely do look boarded up. Oh, wait a second. That's the back of the building. Hold on a second. Oh, wow. Look at that. They are slightly off. They are just slightly off. Let me see if I can... Let me see if I can make that work to our advantage. Like that. That's not bad. I still don't love it, but... I don't like the fact that the sign sticks out. Let's do some stuff in Surveyor 2. Let's see if I can make some adjustments for Surveyor 2. Can I cover the sign? Number one. And what does that look like if I do cover the sign? Can I move it back far enough that that extension is parallel with the end of the building without any ill effects? Yes. The problem is this is too rotated for that, and I have to go back to Surveyor Classic because I don't know how to rotate it slowly. I'm so glad the Rare Museum of Pennsylvania is getting their roundhouse finally. They've been talking about that since as long as I can remember. As long as I can remember. Yeah, so this can be parking lot. This can be warehouse. Let's grab our track here. And then it's going to have some curvature to it. That's okay. And we're just going to put that right there. Since 2002, yeah, well, that's as long as I can remember. That's for sure. I don't even know if I like Trainz in 2002. Just kidding, I absolutely did. They couldn't keep me away from the train since I was 4 years old. By 2002, I'd been to the Providence Northern. But you know, the point is, it's been a real long time. Okay. It's like Blount's Vision, but if the PRR virus started to take over. Yeah. You know, if there ever was such a thing as an evil empire in American railroading, it was the PRR. It absolutely was the PRR. Hi, Douglas Welsh. Okay. So this is going to be JanCorp. This is absolutely going to be JanCorp, and this is going to be JanCorp Tower. Like, I don't know. It's what it is. Go back to Surveyor Classic. Let's, Jancorp Warehouse. Um, you know, we've made a bastard to switch. That's okay. If you're only moving in a couple cars at a time, it's not going to be a problem. Actually, you should have enough headroom here, as long as you don't have cars spilling off the back of this. Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated, yeah. It reminds me of an old joke that was like, you know, one person says to another, "Oh, do you want to watch Monsters Inc.?" And the person said, "Ah, no, those things terrify me." And he goes, "What, monsters?" The person says, "No, corporations." Uh, which, you know, valid and based, I say, with the Iron Horseman Company. Listen, if I truly become a member of the capitalist class, you're gonna have to cancel me. It's only fair. Okay, so this whole area in between has got to end up being pavement, right? It's got to be. I'm trying to fill in this triangle, and it's not going great. And this is my current triangle, and then I guess this is my current triangle after that. But when we're done with scenery today, we're gonna go and work on stuff in you know, in the thing. Excuse me, the soda's getting to me. We're gonna go work on stuff over there. You know what I mean. Let's see if we can fill in this area along the track here. See, every time I look at power lines now, I think of Mossy Mug, and I was like, where's he? I haven't seen him in a while. I hope he's doing good. Okay. I also, which reminds me, I need to go back to Maine. I could go next weekend. I don't have anything going on, really. I mean, I'm supposed to fix up some stuff around the house. I'd like to have an attic that has air conditioning and not the miserable place it is now. It's hot up there. I actually forgot to open the window before this. This was the hottest room in the house. It's been almost 100 degrees. It's been like 95 degrees for the last few days. It's been really miserable. And I know compared to some of you folks, that really isn't much. But for me, it sucks. I've never been great in the heat. And like even my Egyptian coworker is complaining about the heat. Like it's bad out here. Send help. And we went to have Gloria's little sister over, and she stays upstairs, and the upstairs has a built-in air conditioner, which I only recently learned is a Frank and Frank special. It is not a wall air conditioner. It is a window air conditioner that is embedded in the wall. There's a difference. How do I know there's a difference? Because we can't find one to replace it, because wall air conditioners are a standardized size, which is larger than what's there now. So yeah, that's your Frank and Frank story for today. That's gonna go in the memoirs. Frank and Frank Incorporated, three generations of adequate home repair. Look out for it in your local Borders bookstores. I'm terrible in the heat, but humidity kills me. Oh yeah, no, humidity. Humidity makes heat worse. I was reading about wet bulb temperature and how like prolonged exposure to wet bulb temperature can just kill you. Like there's no way. Like you lose the battle with heat. Basically, your body has no way to regulate heat, and you just melt and die. Like, be careful out there. Drink lots of water. Specifically iced water if you can get that. As someone in Colorado, it's dry as hell here, and anytime human comes in, I'm like crawling on my knees. That's so real. That's so real. I am not about to move anywhere. But I'm certainly not about to move to any place where the heat gets worse and the humidity stays the same. You know, uh, I'm not going to the south. I'm not going to like any of these real sticky places. I went to Louisiana once and it was great. I'm glad I did that. I definitely am not going back like outside of winter. You know, um, and even then that was October. Like it wasn't oppressive, but it was warm. Um, and that excludes all the other factors for not wanting to move in a given place. Uh, but you know, I thoroughly enjoyed Louisiana. I loved New Orleans. It's a really cool place. Had a great time. Ate great food. Um, I'll go back in like January. It's like going to Disney in February. That's the time to go. You know, around here the tradition is like to go on winter break when schools had winter break in February. It's the crowds are going to suck because the crowds suck at Disney all year round. But at least you're not enduring hurricane season and 10,000-degree temperatures with 100% humidity. Got to be a snowbird to visit the South. Yeah, exactly. That sounds like a great like song title or book title or album title or something like that's a great phrase. Got to be a snowbird to visit the South. Um, Everything's kind of sing-songy to me because I fell down the Buster Scruggs rabbit hole again. Um, which, if you haven't seen Buster Scruggs, I recommend it. But go in knowing it's an anthology with like six different little vignettes in over the span of one movie. Uh, it's really neat. It's really cool. Some are definitely better than others. Um, some of them are straight up depressing. Some of those shorts I absolutely cannot recommend because they're just depressing. Um, but they're still very good. They're still actually very well done. Just depressing. Uh, my feet are long, fellows. I'm thinking when a cowboy trades his spurs for wings. Um, it's it's kind of marvelous. Uh, the last short of Scruggs just dragged on, and it did. I agree with you, and I also think that was the point. That was the one with the folks riding in the carriage, right? And the one with the trapper who just rambles and rambles and rambles. It is it's tedium, and it feels very purposeful, but I don't know why exactly. Um, you know, I would love to watch it again. I don't actually remember how I watched it. Everything these days uh, is spread across like 35 different streaming services, and you can't find it. And I'm one of those people that I just sort of Google something and I see what streaming service it's on, and then I ask Gloria if we have that streaming service, and if they say no, my search stops there. Like I'm already at my limit with that. Like it sure is a better system in some ways than the olden days when you sort of had to, you check the TV guide and that came in the mail, right? And if there's something that you want to watch, then you remember to go watch it when it's on. And then if you miss it, if you're not around for it, then you better remember to videotape it. And if you forget to do that, then you're SOL. Um, it's great that there are all these opportunities for actually watching the things you want to watch. Um, I'm not a pirate. I'm not into piracy. Uh, you know, I'm I think the only thing I've ever pirated was half of SimCity 4, and it's because I lost the disc. Uh, it just doesn't appeal to me. Media is a quid pro quo, right? You give something and you get something back. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody's paying for it somewhere along the line. And if I don't want to pay the due to watch a given thing, then I don't watch the thing. You know? Uh, if there's something that I want, but I feel like they're charging too much for it, I don't get it. And then I don't, I don't get to discuss it. I don't get to, buy the merch from it or whatever. And it's like, okay, this thing is not supported. I'm voting with my wallet, but I'm also not, I'm voting with my wallet, but there are actual consequences for me to do that, right? Like, I'm not doing it for free. And that's kind of the point. Like, they're not doing it for free either. They're not making something for $0. That's my philosophy on it, and I'm not going to I'm not going to run around and say, like, oh, you're pirating, that's bad, shame on you. Because everyone's got their reasons, and stuff's expensive. I get it. But I'm just not going to do it. I've always wondered, does it count as piracy if you're giving it to someone knowing you're just never going to use it? If you're giving it to someone knowing you're just never going to use it. I don't know if I understand the question. I think it all depends on how you're getting it. Right? Like, you buy it and then give it to someone else. No, of course not, because you bought it. The operative thing there is that you paid for it, and that's, that's the important part. You've given your money to whomever, presumably the group or individual who's made the thing, right? But then you're fine. You've given your money presumably to the group or individual that's made the thing, and then after that, it doesn't really matter what you do with it, especially if you're buying it but never going to use it, and then you're passing it off. Somebody still paid for it. I'm sure there are places, I'm sure there are, like, terms of service agreements that exist that are like, this is yours and only yours, and you cannot distribute it or whatever. I mean, it's different if you're buying it and then making a bunch of copies. That's not good. But I think, generally speaking, if you are the owner of a physical piece of media, you are entitled, I think the law says you're entitled to a digital copy. Like, you're allowed to rip it onto your computer. It gets a little bit more dubious when you rip it onto your computer and then put it on a Plex server and then go on a Discord of, 1,000 people and are like, here, use my Plex server for whatever you want. That's a little bit more dubious, but someone paid for it at least. And they're just doing what they want with it. They only made one copy of it. They're just showing it to their friends. Like, there's, as far as I understand, I sure hope there's never been a law against having people come by your house and look at what's on your TV. And this is just sort of a technological extension of that. This is kind of a place where the legality of copyright is not really caught up with the technology. It's a little messy. It's a little gray, at the very least. Ultimately, I think people are going to argue the hardest for the thing that benefits them the most. If you're the person with the Plex server, of course you're going to say, like, no, of course it's fine. Like, your buddy has a Plex server. It's like, no, it's legal, right? Or, I don't care, but that's a different story. Copyright laws are strange. They're a mess. They are, they're in theory designed to protect normal people who have made something, who have put it out into the world, who are, worried about getting their fair share, right? But on the flip side, it's, predominantly used by the people who can afford to mess with it. Predominantly used by large companies defending their interests and you know pushing changes to the law that keep those interests protected. Like, the Mickey Mouse laws of, copyrights extended over and over and over again, so Mickey Mouse never enters the public domain, and then it finally happened. So it's like, that was a fight for a very long time, and now it's like, it is the life of the creator plus like 70 years or whatever. It's a long time. Uh, so it is what you make of it. There's no perfect answer here. I have my moral philosophy, and you have yours. There's no like true morality in the world. This isn't this isn't Fallout New Vegas or whatever. You don't have a karma bar that's going to change as you do things in life, and whatever religion you prescribe to, if any, is going to be presumably the judge of you when you die, right? Like, that's what it all comes down to. Let's stretch this over here and then make a hole in the middle. I feel the same, and this is much spicier of a topic, because people will go back and forth on piracy quite a bit. I feel like there's sort of a universal acceptance of the utility of ad blockers, but this is another one where, like, I had an ad blocker for a long time. I used it sparingly because there were just like I used it predominantly like back in the ye olde days of Minecraft, where every mod to download it, you had to click through a page with 35 download buttons, 34 of which will give you a virus instantly, and the last one still might. And it's like, okay, that was a real sketchy situation. You really needed to figure out which download button was the right one. But these days, especially like in the midst of the war on ad blockers that's being waged by large tech companies like Google, it's easier for me to just not have one. I got rid of mine a while back, and honestly, very little of my life has changed. Some websites are a little bit more of a pain in the neck, but those are just the handful that I didn't disable the ad blocker on. I leave it up on basically any website that I had left it up on any website that was, based around content creation and funded by advertising revenue. It's like, I'm not going to have my cake and eat it too. If I have to look at ads to see this thing, then that's my way of paying for it. If I thought it was worth the $15 a month or whatever to not have ads here, then I would just pay the $15 a month. But it's not worth that to me. And I did think about getting YouTube TV for a while, and then I sort of realized, like, what does it matter? I go to a YouTube video, I watch a 30-second ad or a minute, and then I get my YouTube video. So what? I don't have to pay for it. I'm paying with 30 seconds of my life where I'm not staring at the thing. I'm doing something else. Let's put this over here. Let's put some trailers back here. And I know that's genuinely a hot take, because people people don't like ads. I get it. I also don't like ads, but I recognize, like, I respect the fact that that there's no such thing as a free lunch. I respect the fact that these things that I want to do online for free are not free. They're very expensive sometimes, and if I want to do them, I have to pay my share to do them, whether that be to watch watch a short ad or a couple of ads, or pay my dues, for the subscription or whatever. It's like, do I like I don't like subscription services in general, but hell, this is still nothing compared to the way it used to be on cable. Um, YouTube Premium, because the internet going out sucks and I like watching videos during my free time. Downloading the videos. That's a good feature. Having the little mini player, or running music in the background and stuff, that's a good feature. I'm not someone who needs that. Like, I wouldn't take advantage of that much, because all of my music is on here still. But it's it's not like you're paying $15 and getting nothing. You're paying $15 and getting a website, but you're also getting, you're also getting these things. They really did, YouTube in particular. They really did try to sweeten the pot, right? And again, still not enough for me. I'm not paying that money, but I'm also not complaining about the ads that I get, because if I really cared that much, I would just pay the money. And for what it's worth, I do think YouTube Premium is like one of the better deals when it comes to these streaming services. I mean, I use YouTube more, and I'm an outlier because I still have cable TV. So take from this what you will. I use YouTube more than anything else combined. More than all the streaming services that Gloria has negotiated to get from our friends, and that we pay for, and cable, and anything like that. It is probably the website I spend the second most amount of time on, behind Reddit. And what do I do on Reddit? I find links to YouTube videos sometimes, right? I have been tempted to get a Nebula subscription, because a few folks that I follow fairly closely are on Nebula. They seem pretty cool. And also, it's another sort of like, hey, it's not YouTube. I feel like the retort to voting with your wallet on YouTube by not by getting an ad blocker or whatever, because you don't like the way that they're running the place. Well, it's just going to make them put more ads on it, because that's how they get money. But the other thing is, like, where else do you go? Like, I recognize it. I get it. They sweeten the pot by making everyone else's stew worse. I mean, I don't totally disagree, but it's their prerogative, right? It is. They have a responsibility to their own bottom line. It's a company, right? Like, all I'm saying is that technically, if more people had YouTube Premium, they'd have less incentive to put ads in, and I agree with that. Would that incentive actually, like, functionally matter to us, the consumer? I don't know. I wouldn't be super optimistic about that. But they have a responsibility to their bottom line, and if it starts to look shaky, then stuff gets worse for us, the consumer. So, like, I have a vested interest in making sure that YouTube's bottom line doesn't start to look shaky. But to get back to the Nebula idea, like, it's another place, right? It's another company that's doing the YouTube thing, and that's sort of novel in like just on its own, right? Like, this channel has over a month of content. This playlist alone. Oh, I never hit enter on the. Oh wait, yes I did. No, the hell. Like Nebula, everyone's saying like, oh, where do I go except for YouTube? Like the alternatives are garbage. There's Daily Motion and Vimeo, both of which are not very good websites, like in terms of functionality, um, and that's fair. Uh, and Nebula seems to be pretty good, all things considered. Like I certainly have not heard complaints about it. And I feel like I would because people would be popping off about how much of a scam it is if it really did suck. Um, but it's like, okay, we're in an era where if you want something, you have to pay for it. Like, if you want a specific thing, you have to pay for that specific thing. And you might get some other stuff in the deal, but generally, people seem to be picking up streaming services because they want this show, right? Um, I I have a Paramount subscription, which I'm kind of, thinking about getting rid of sometime soon. And also I have an Amazon Prime subscription that I would also like to get rid of. Uh, I don't hardly order anything from Amazon to make it worthwhile anyway, and I've been trying not to order stuff from Amazon. Uh, just like shovel more of my money at Jeffrey Bezos, right? But, uh, I have these subscriptions and I have them for specific reasons. I have the Amazon Prime subscription because of Stargate, because Amazon owns MGM. I have the Paramount Plus subscription because of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which, it's a great show. Is it worth the money? I don't know. Is it worth kind of selling my soul, right? Because for various reasons. I don't know. Wonder how different the market would be if they sold these movies and shows individually. Well, and they do in a lot of cases they do that on like Amazon Prime, right? Like you can buy and rent individual movies, and that's a thing. But I'm immediately turned off when I see that. If I see like, oh, it's available with Amazon Prime. Oh, it's available with Amazon Prime, like, but it's also $3.99, like for just the movie. I'm like, oh, never mind. It's that like Squidward putting out the chair and then pulling it away meme. Uh, uh, so like, these things they do exist. Um, but the question becomes like, how much would you pay for an individual show? Honestly, I think that number is higher than most people expect because of the way that these streaming services are operating. Because I feel like they're they're getting a lot of their money from what are effectively single issue subscribers, right? Like me. I'm there for Strange New Worlds. When Strange New Worlds is done, I'm not going to need that subscription anymore unless they come out with another Star Trek thing that I really, really like, or another show that I really, really like. Um, when when I'm done rewatching Stargate, or if I happen to stumble upon a box set, right? Then I'm done with Amazon Prime. I don't need it anymore. I don't buy stuff on Amazon. I'm basically paying all this money for a show that I've been trying to finish watching for a while now. Um, and there's as much you can say about where you're giving this money to, and with your voting with your wallet and stuff like that, and it's true. uh, I'm not sure exactly where I was going with that because I feel like I already said it, but the point is I think we would be willing to pay a lot more for a single show than we think. um, but if you're paying for a single show, people are going to go out and buy the box set if it exists. I mean, uh, getting stuff on DVD, I don't even know if that's super common anymore for TV shows. Um, I haven't seen recent shows with box sets, but I also haven't really followed recent shows. Like, riddle me this, Batman. Can you buy a Breaking Bad DVD set? Like a legit one, Because there are probably kind of sketchy knockoff ones that are out there with terrible bitrate or whatever. Uh, can you buy a Breaking Bad box set? Can you buy a The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones box set? Um, I don't see it advertised because I know that the market for it is really small, right? Uh, and I'm a collector, right? I have a big collection of DVDs and stuff, but I don't buy them new. And I feel like a lot of people also don't buy them new. You go and find one at an estate sale because the shows that you want are from 1995 and are not like modern things that are going to come out on Blu-ray box set. They're ones that you're lucky if you got it on DVD. Um, so like, I don't know. There is there's a lot going on in the world of streaming, and I feel like a lot of this, piracy was down. No, I'm not. This is. Don't quote me on this, but piracy was down when Netflix was king. Um, at least I did not hear about people pirating stuff as much during the era where Netflix dominated the streaming market. Also, an era of relatively inexpensive Netflix and relatively good quality because they had everything, right? Before every other company decided they needed their own streaming service. Um, and, you know, I think it really speaks to the fact that. Oh, shoot, I'm looking at the wrong menu. It really speaks to the fact that piracy, a lot of the time, is not about cost, it's about convenience. It's about, I can't get this show, sort of where this conversation started. I can't get this show, therefore, I'm just going to go get it however I can. Like, I cannot get this through simple legal means, so I'll find another way to do it. I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm not going to get, I'm not going to sort of be told that I cannot watch this when I know it exists. I'll just go watch it. Um, and I don't know how piracy works these days. I remember, I remember in ye olden days, sort of torrents and things like that. There's shenanigans you can do now with VPNs, and people will throw stuff up under weird names on Google Drive. I remember LimeWire existed. I don't. It was before my time, but I know of it, and it's like these are the tools that I recall. I have no idea how it is in the modern era. Um, but the point is, it's still easier for a lot of people to do that than, well, shell out the money for whatever streaming service it's on, or just find a way to watch something that is not on a streaming service. In the era of Netflix and Redbox, I feel like internet piracy cratered a little bit. Oh, and don't even get me started on video game piracy. Actually, I don't really have much to say about that. It's a different story. But it's generally gaming is less restrictive, so it really does come down to cost more often than not for gaming. And I mean, games can be expensive, but also plenty of games have included components where it's, and I don't even mean like DRM, but like where it is difficult to pirate them and still get the full functionality, like games with a large online component. Not even games that are quote-unquote always online, like, again, DRM. It's not what I mean. I mean games that, like, multiplayer is a large aspect and you just can't do it if you don't have an actual account. That's, I think, one of the other things that's really, relatively speaking, kept a lid on video game piracy is if you are... This doesn't look great, but we'll have to put some clutter around somewhere. if you are playing most games these days, you are basically stuck into a situation where you're gonna have to get an account somewhere, you know. Um, and then that makes a lot of things, a lot of shenanigans, kind of difficult. Right, there we go. Let's look at some steel beams. Also, we have these sheds. I don't really know what to do with these sheds. I feel like we've used them plenty in these like industrial areas. Um, just want to put stuff behind this building here, and then farm silo. I don't even know what this could do over here. Why would there be a silo here? I have no idea why there would be a silo here. What if we actually put the silo like over here? Like maybe there was a farmhouse there or something. Um, oh, there's cable rolls and cranes and things. I just want like a big pile of steel crap. Derelict steel box. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, whoops, I was scrolling up. Um, oh, we've got stairs. Yippee. What is this? USA steel pole. Maybe there was like a flagpole or something. I don't know. What if I put this in here? Does it make sense to go there? I'm not sure. Do I have to move this pole out of the way? Yeah, I do. This needs to go somewhere else. Good morning, USA. Uh, let's just put this out over there. Okay, let's do this here. To sort of round out the piracy talk, I think the end all be all of it is I'm not going to inconvenience myself by like trying to figure out anything. If it's available to me, then I'm going to watch it. If it's not available to me, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to go out of my way and try to find another way to watch it or go behind, and do whatever. It's there's like a moral aversion to piracy, but also just like I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't want to, I don't want to open that door because God knows I'll never be able to shut it. You start pirating stuff. It's like, oh, I can pirate everything. Then it becomes special when you give people the money that they should probably get for doing a thing. That is too short. That is too short of a water tower. I need a bigger one than that. How about this? Yeah, there we go. What if I had put it on the roof, actually? What if I put it back here, actually? And then you have like this, which is like a trench, I guess. What are you putting behind a fire station? Because I feel like you need to have something like that. This is all quite a second fire station. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I nailed it. Um, that is not very high resolution. Not it's pretty. That's a low poly truck right there. Skyscraper under construction. Maybe we should put something like that around. Um, Maybe I should put scrap bins around the side of this truck to make it look less crappy. But really, I should probably just get rid of this truck. Um, it's extremely low poly. Um, the 1,000th pile of junk metal that's around. What about just a dumpster? Oh, this is like they're demolishing the building size of dumpster. I should probably put a low speed limit on this track too. Um, dumpster 01. Put this over here. Well, actually, I feel like I should, you know, feel like I should put this in a place where it's actually visible from the tracks, so it feels like it belongs here, right? Or it's actually functionally part of the scenery. I kind of want some kind of wall here, separating this area from that, and then maybe a fence. Not these cruddy looking brick walls. I want maybe some kind of composite. Or at least something that looks modern. And then actually I want to do a chain link fence around the backside here. Because I do want the parking lot to be visible. That's a important part of the aesthetic I was thinking about when I decided that there was going to be an industry here. So we're just going to mix and match. This is a very thin wall, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's like it's not about being structurally sound. It is structurally sound, but it's not about being extra strong. Um, there's no coil spline. These coil car hoods. It's interesting. I can't help but notice that these that's not good. Because the random rotation is not helping me out at all. These should be like, back there. And then I definitely don't need just hoses, just coiled up hoses. This is also a single coil of sort of the same size and shape as the others. I'm not sure if it's in the same asset set, but it feels quite familiar. No, these are JR and the other one is SAP, so it's similar, but it's not the same. I mean, I don't know how different coils can look. But there's the one little weird one in there, which is fine. Unused coils and used coils. Doesn't make sense, but, you know, makes sense. How about a long one? The long way. Steel coils the long way. Let's do that. Okily dokily. I still am going to have to fill the parking lots with cars. Not cars with parking lots. Fill the parking lots with cars. But this is feeling kind of right. Not great, not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but kind of right. This is a weird industry to not be rail served, but it is what it is. Maybe they were once upon a time and now they're not. And there's just no surviving evidence of that. We've got more, we've got more industries around here, which I think is good because we're right along the railroad tracks. There would be industries here. And we're probably going to add a couple more because, again, we're right along the railroad tracks. These railroad tracks have been here for decades and decades. There's going to be industries along the railroad tracks. That's where they go. Okay. It is halfway through the episode, and we did pretty much start on time, so that's good. It's halfway through the episode. I've filled in one triangle, and I rambled on about piracy for God knows how long. It's very quiet out there, so let's just do some boring stuff. So there are some things that I can do, and there are some things that I should do. Now, one of the things I can and should do is work on more of these car spawners. The other thing I should do is figure out what the heck to do with my drivers. So we don't have quick drive, right? And so we have the startup options, which is realistic mode, set time to 5 o'clock. I think I'm going to change this to 6 o'clock now because it doesn't really matter. Current control is realistic mode. All right, let's set it to easy mode because I'm going to be doing that. Set order to clear with no changeability. Off. Yeah, no changeability. Derailment realism to none. Show default units. Use default units. Use imperial units in driver. So that's fine. I don't actually know if that works anymore. And then portal timetable rule. I don't think we've messed with this at all. So schedule at track mark is broken. I broke it. I'm deleting it now. Wait, why? Yes. Schedule at track mark this, which is what we're working on for here, the ammonia, the barley, etc. The input table, this is for the turntables, that's got to stay. The path selection UI, this session rule will automatically react to messages from interlocking towers and display a path selection dialog. If you wish to disable the interface, simply remove this rule from your session. I do need that. I'll put that at the bottom because there's nothing that goes on with that. Driver setup. These are all the drivers we have. Now the thing is, the problem that I have with the drivers is living railroad related. But there doesn't seem to be a living railroad rule. It's just a thing that happens. Now, The problem with this is I can't set driver setup, driver speed rule, driver schedule rule. I don't know what that is. Driver schedule rule assigned to driver. Oh, okay. Next commands will be educated. Or executed, educated. Oh, okay, I get it. This will apply a schedule to a driver, right? Assuming you have only one of each. I feel like that is an outdated rule. What are you? I feel like I've seen this forever. Advanced industry load configuration. Lock the Trainz controls during a stopped load-unload operation. Override the begin load and begin unload durations to 0 seconds. Don't know what that does. Get rid of that. Consist data handler rule. Clean up derailed trains. I'll just set that. Why not? I mean, I feel like it's got to be there. This just, when you have a derailment, it pauses the game and says piss test. This was a test for me. Driver command. Do we have any fun commands? Aircraft engine start command. Don't need that. Bells, cab control, cab wait. Maintains current control state until some condition is met. I don't know what that means. Changes the destination signs. Change train direction. Is that a thing? Okay. I'll move to train. Move to train at track mark. Let's allow that. Let's also allow, I don't know what horns extended does. I'm trying to think, if I were dicking around on this route, what ones would be useful to me? Wait for track mark, wait until. Wait or random doesn't make any sense. UZ move to train, no. Uncouples and couples from. Terminate passenger train. STW drive is not useful here. Set priority probably isn't useful either, because we don't use priority anymore. It's kind of an outmoded thing. I'm sure I could find a use for it, but right now I'm not going to mess with it. Set signal state, set one junction, run around, which, no. Return train cars, remove train, which is the same as delete train. Release junction, which I swear to God does not do anything, but I'm going to leave it anyway. Notify, because that could be kind of useful. Navigate to track mark. Navigate to track mark list. There. Yeah, that's useful. Move turntable. Move to train track mark. Move to train. Move turntable, which is the input table thing. Load KCMD repeat, which is very useful. ITS set path, which is fine, but probably not going to be useful anymore. Interior lights command. I don't know if I have anything that uses that. Instant load with a product from a queue specified by the user. Horns. Headlights, don't care. Halt train. I've been using wait 5 seconds for this, but halt train might also be good. Um, I am just kind of wondering because we have drive to and we have navigate to. And the drive to is it just goes there, right? The navigate to, it tries to get around stuff. I think either or can be useful. Um, decouple number blank, delete train, we have that. Decouple and decouple number blank are the same. Couple are track mark, couple ahead, that can be very useful. Couple, why not? Um, change train direction. Um, cure your lights command. I've never seen that used anywhere. I've never used it myself. Um, I don't know if priority interacts with anything anymore. Um, and then this is the problem, right? With this. Oh no, I've added too many things. Now the window is too tall. I need to get rid of at least one thing, otherwise it's not going to be able to fit. Unless wait until 2 is the very bottom thing on the list. Oh, it is. Okay. Alright. So I sure as hell can't add any more, and I'd probably be best served getting rid of something. Oh, change direction command. We don't need both of those. So the problem with this is here. Let's just do that. The problem with this is these locomotives are all scattered around the route in places. They're not here. None of them are... Well, actually, I take that back. Some of them are here. I should get rid of all the drivers attached to these locomotives. And also these locomotives, which I don't think there are any attached to these locomotives. Boy, the game is not happy when I come over here. So, driver setup. Driver setup. The problem with this, the problem I'm having with driver setup, is when we go into the game, when we go into driver mode, right? Some of the drivers immediately sort of wake up and are living railroad and are living railroad enabled, and I don't see a way to control that right away aside from just removing all the drivers, which might totally be a valid way to do things. And in fact, I might just do that. I think I'm going to do that. So for now, I'm going to remove all the drivers because it does not matter. Remove all existing drivers first, and then add another driver. Let's just put in you, and we'll say, oh my god, look at all those specifics. We will say, let's go find a perfectly, like, let's go find a normal thing. Let's go find you in the middle stall here. What are you? You are this Mikado, right? So you are officially GERR 685, which I can't help but notice you already have a driver. So do I have to go around and remove all the drivers? Should I just delete all of the locomotives and go back to the start? So let's say this locomotive in particular. Let's get off train. Okay. Um, and then I can say edit session, driver setup, GRR 685. Save changes. And if we go back out to the main menu, actually, things should be stable enough that now I can go in and out giggity here, because there's nothing to sort of apply. The startup options, I'm actually going to have it set the time to 12 noon with a rate of 1x, because why the hell not? So I'm going to try this. I'm going to save the route. I'm going to save it as what it is right now. And then I am going to just go into driver directly without going back out to the menu and see what happens. We'll see. It's going to take a minute to save because the route's gargantuan again. Or still is. It's what it is. Drive session. It's also Control F2, and like I can't. Oh, where the hell am I? I am in Mason Valley. No, Mason's Landing. I also still need to adjust all the interlocking towers. That's kind of a big deal. That is kind of. See, these things are the things that I need to do before we proceed at all. Oh, let me unpause. What do we have for drivers? 1. That's it. Just you. Because it deleted all the other drivers. Now, can I add a driver? I can. So that's a thing that I can do. We can have 1 driver, we can have more drivers. Okay, before we do anything else, I'm going to go back into Surveyor. Hello, DT. I'm really pushing the limits of what I can do right now, I think. Going back into Surveyor, I'm going to go to Edit Session once again, and I'm going to notice that these 2 are complete. And they don't need to be reset. All of these are running. The schedule library, which has no entries right now. The driver command, the input table, schedule at track mark. This is waiting for a derailment to occur, and it redoes every time a derailment happens. Portal timetable rule, which does nothing, and then the path selection UI, which does nothing. These are all running right now. If I interlocking tower configure path, IT enhanced manager rule. I want to add you, but the problem is I don't think this works anymore. So if let me just hit restart all rules, because why not? And also I'm going to not do this, and I'm going to remove you, and we're just going to save that, because now we should have 1 driver. Right now what we're doing is messing with the drivers and messing with the drive session option and the session rules. So yeah, there's nothing for session info. The driver control center does this, and then the session options does this, and then commodity picker, that's something else. Waybills, I've never figured out how to use waybills, like, properly. And then schedule info, we have no schedule. In terms of money, we have no money. There should be an invisible interlocking tower over here somewhere. I guess I cannot click on it. So I have no control over this pretty much no matter what I do. I feel like I should be able to click on it. The fact that I can throw this switch is kind of alarming, because I should not be able to throw this switch. It should be locked by the interlocking tower. Also, it's not changing, which That's kind of a problem. It's not paused, but it's acting like it's paused. Why aren't these moving? Well, that one is broken. That's very strange. So something's wrong. Let me go back to Surveyor Classic. And there should be an interlocking tower box here if I didn't delete it. I don't think I deleted it. I didn't. So I'm going to go and get rid of that rule because I think it's breaking things. Yep. I'm going to restart all the rules again. And I'm going to select you and just see if it's still broken, right? Because last time it was broken, but I think I had done something wrong. No, okay, it's broken. It's broken. And we are definitely in session mode. Because the programming for the signals should be fine. I think all of my interlocking towers are busted. We're going to have to remake them from scratch. That's not fun, but at least I can do them right now. Some of these things are just not, they're not it. What is that? Okay, so it's saying that I can't go anywhere because of this. I want to make sure that these are set to the correct position for the beginning here. And I'm going to have to do that with all the switches. But, it is what it is. So I think I just have to delete this. I have to delete the interlocking towers. And I did my damnedest to sort of make it work. But, alright, Olive, South, interlocking. Is there anything in the standards about naming an interlocking tower? Did I put something in the standards? No. Tower. Oh, sorry, I'll say GERR Tower OSI. We'll do that. We'll just name it that. We'll keep that as a standard. And we're going to have to put all these paths back in. That's really annoying, but that is the way it is. TRC compatibility on, off, static ownership, dynamic ownership. I don't know what that means. Try requery path on schedule blocked. Display yellow disk disabled. Path add. Oh, so here's the thing. Let me. Oh God, what have I done? Let me cancel that. Yeah, I'm making a standard railroad. You might even call it the standard railroad of the world. For now, I'm just going to have to get rid of all the interlocking towers because I think they're broken. And I can't get rid of the yellow lines. They're going to be there forever. So that's fantastic. Thankfully, we only had 4 interlockings. 3 of them on the main line and the 1 trolley one. Did I get the other one on the way out? I might have forgotten. I might have got it on the way out. I did. I did it 2 seconds ago and already forgot. But we're gonna have to figure all that out. Really, I'm just kind of curious what's going to happen. And at this point in the evening, I'm kind of tempted to just sort of turn on the AI and see what it does. Which is a weird thing because it's not even 9 o'clock. But the other thing is I really want to make these work. But now that the AI is gone, we can destroy everything. We can rip out all the track marks, all the switch stands, everything. Like raccoons in the walls, Oh God, a Pensy reference. Matt, have you met me? But we also have to do this intensely boring thing. To continue our list of things. We also need to find a way to connect them all up. But the thing is, now that we've gotten rid of the interlocking towers, there shouldn't be anything standing in the way of the AI to do the things that it wants to do. Now, the caveat to that is the AI does not know how to work turntables. So all the stuff that I have in the why are you like that? All the stuff that I have in the turntables here is not going to be able to get out unless the turntable is already aligned for them to escape. And like I have a couple of RS3s in here. I've got a decapod in here. I've got other stuff in there. Like I don't know, man. Um, I also feel like I should go through and collect all of the cars at the industries and put them in yards. It's probably not something that I should do, but it might be something to do to sort of keep my head on straight. Also, so much of this I don't like. I don't like any of the organization in here. It's a real weird mess. The more I look at Olive, the more I want to replace everything here. Um, but here's the thing. Here's the proof of concept, right? I jump in a drive session. I go in a drive session. And I go to our singular... Or no, I go find a locomotive, right? Let me unpause it. I go find a locomotive. Let's say... Let's go, speaking of standards, there's that PRR consolidation over here in Mason's Landing. And the fact that the yellow line is still here is a little ridiculous. But there's a PRR consolidation here. Here you are. If I were to... oh, you know what? The train needs a driver. So, locomotive needs a driver. I'm going to add one. I'm going to add Andrew. Hello, Andrew. Move to destination, this locomotive. Now, you're here, and I can say, okay, uncouple you from that. And I really do wish... I really do miss the waypoint mode. How come you're not moving? Why are you not moving? Am I moving the wrong locomotive? Can I move you? No. Also, I have dispatch manager. Oh, look. Dispatch status enabled, waiting on path searches. Are you... Is the game just stuck because it's trying to figure out where stuff is going? Will it figure itself out when this number hits 0? I also can't help but notice that that time is not moving forward, number one. And also, there are no, like, steam and smoke effects. It's like the game is paused, but it is not. What on earth is going on? Why does it say it's paused when it's not paused? What is going on? Help. I broke everything? I don't understand what has happened here. Did this break it? What if I delete that? Restart all rules. I've had weird results with that before. No. Commodity overlays, navigation points. Hello, Zero Winter. I'm experiencing a very strange situation right now, and I am not entirely sure how I'm going to resolve it. The game is forever paused. And I don't know what I've done to deserve this. Try a different engine. I did. I've got 2 engines. That was strange too. The thing is, if I go in here, this pause is checked, and if I click it, it's still paused. And like, some things do work, but I noticed that if I throw a switch, it doesn't animate. I also can't hear anything. I'm not sure if that's related.